we're not live, so I'll edit it a little bit.
Gotcha.
So if don't worry about anything. Um, so yeah, man, thank you very much for joining me. I am excited to chat with you today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I have been looking forward to this for a while now. This is exciting.
Good deal. Yeah. Well, I guess we met at Lamplighter back in May 2024. And
Correct. Yeah.
Tip Lewis doing Tip Lewis,
Yes.
which actually just came out. At least the digital download did.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
what character or characters did you play? What's your main character?
This was a special project because not only did I get to meet you on it, but it was sort of kind of like the full circle thing. I actually started my voice over journey or my decision to become a voice actor through Lamplighter. I
Okay.
visited up there in November of 2023 and then got connected with the producer, John Fornoff. And so then I got the audition, and that was my first gig actually, was Tip Lewis. So in Tip Lewis, originally, I booked two characters. I played Mr. Lewis, it was, oh, Tip, Kitty, is the jacket fixed, and then Howard Minturn, which was just my voice, but a little bit more perky. We did that. And then as I got there, the funny thing was, and I didn't know, but I just kept getting more, can you play this? Can you play that? And I was kind of, asking you and other people that were there. I was like, should I do? You're like, yeah, just this is normal. Just do it. Just go for it. So I ended up listening. Actually, since it just came out, I finished listening to it yesterday.
Oh, fantastic.
It's fantastic. Very moving. I'm excited to see what the Lord's going to do with that. Um, but I think I ended up playing like 9 or 10 characters total, and that I don't think that's including background. I know but a bunch of schoolboys played a drunk in a bar with you, just a bunch of random stuff.
That was so much fun. I had a blast on that, and yeah, and just so the listeners, viewers, etc., know, this man can do impressions that you would not believe. Like you look at him, you're like, okay, looks like a good-looking guy, a good voice, whatever. You have no idea. You have no idea, and we'll get into that. But
Oh, well, thank you.
that was a real treat. Just messing around between scenes and stuff with like celebrity impressions, which that's
Right.
something that I don't do. Like for me, I'm not an impressionist. Uh, but what I can do is if I'm cast, like if it's an audiobook or something like that, I'll sort of say, okay, I'm thinking of Benedict Cumberbatch. And it might not sound exactly, you would never mistake me for him, but it makes
Right.
a great character. Yours are so good that it's almost too good. Like, no, no,
Oh,
you can't have Patrick Warburton in a lamplighter like that. You can't do that. Anyway,
but he might make a guest appearance. Just kind of depends on what you're looking for.
that's so good. Oh, I love it. I
Thank
love
you.
impressions so much. Oh, it's so much fun. So first, uh, like, tell me about yourself. Like, just a quick 30-second history of Mitchell North.
Right. So, born and raised in East Tennessee in a small town called Morristown. You go an hour out of Morristown, you're in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then you go another 2 or 3 hours, and then you're in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, so, born and raised here, still living here currently. I grew up went to a school that my parents started with some friends and family members. They wanted to build a school based around a Christ-centered classical Christian education. It was called Cornerstone Academy, which now has been later on changed to Lakeway Christian Academy. So I went there through, pre-K all the way up until my senior year of high school. And about when I got to the third grade, backing up just a little bit, growing up, I've always just been in love with film and cartoons, and was fortunate and blessed enough for my parents to raise me in such a way that I grew up watching the things that they watched. So, I grew up watching the Three Stooges, the original Tom and Jerry, the original Looney Tunes, the Yosemite Sams and Bugs Bunny, all that good stuff. Grew up watching that. And I just drawn to it, the old film and cinema. And so I would go in my garage as a kid, and I would fall in love with these characters. that I saw on screen, and I would go in my garage, I would take old things that I found laying around, and I would build costumes and props, and I would just fully become the character and would immerse myself in it just because of how much I fell in love with it. And so then about when I got into the 4th grade, our school, since it was a newer school, hadn't done theater, and they just got a theater program, and they had a play. They were doing Peter Pan. And so I auditioned for it. I got to play one of the twins of the Lost Boys. And then that really just lit a fire in me for a love for theater and the arts. Music has always been a big part of that too. So I did theater all the way through high school. Took a gap year out of high school. I graduated in 22, I believe, and just did a regular day job. And then the opportunity would presented itself for me to go to Lamplighter, and then that finally brought me back into my love of the arts. And so now I'm doing voice acting.
That's fantastic. That's really good. And you're just incredible with what
Oh, well, thank you.
I wasn't in there all the time with you, but anytime we had a scene, it was great. And then the other stuff that I've heard, that we're messing around with different voices,
Right.
goofing off. That was a lot of fun. What are you like? Where do you want to go with this? What's your goals as a voice actor, or any
My
any kind of goal?
right. I guess my goal ultimately, I would say, is to, whatever work I do, the way I looked at it growing up, and kind of the simplest way that I've been able to put it when I get asked this question was, I felt out so strongly when I would watch these performers, or listen to them rather, like a Robin Williams, and I just remember the way that made me feel as a kid growing up, and even now to this day. And so for me, the ultimate answer is to do kingdom work for the Lord, ultimately, and then to give people the joy and excitement that I receive when I watch the people that I aspire to be like in this industry. So in terms of a goal, that would be it. And then I guess if you want to say, I guess kind of everyone's dream goal, if you're doing voice acting, is probably to be on a Disney or a Pixar project, doing animation.
Yeah, that's great. The You got started in 2023. That's great. So, Tip Lewis is your first role,
Yes.
and a professional role, you might say. Um, that's really cool. So, um, we mentioned impressions.
Right.
Uh, how many impressions do you reckon you have? Like right now, I know you probably
Yeah.
sort of develop one in a few minutes or hours, days, but
Right.
if you like right at
So,
the moment, how many do you think you've got?
well, I've actually attempted to figure that out before because I've been asked that question before. And I think I got somewhere up in I almost hit 400, you know. um, and I get asked, how long does it take? So most of them, you'll see are just different sort of, a lot of voices you can take, and you just have to make minute changes, and then they'll become someone else, So like if for Star Wars, for example, you see like Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's old Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's the Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then there's the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, you have the Alec Guinness, the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, come here, my little friend, don't be worried. Luke, trust the Force, Luke, use your feelings, let the Force guide you. And then if you just change it, and make it younger, you have the Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anakin, you need to have a plan before you do that. You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short. And then if you take the great James Arnold Taylor, so I won't even attempt to touch, but he himself did a variation of that. So a lot of voices, you can find connecting dots, to change them. So, for example, like Darth Vader would be like, I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth, And so then if you take Darth Vader, who is, rest in peace to James Earl Jones, the great legend, but if you take that voice and then you just you can up pitch it, so you can go up and pitch, and then you have Mr. Nezzer from VeggieTales, but there was another mean. I don't tell you, you better eat my bunny factory. So there's all kinds of parallels that if you listen close enough, you can just hear the similarities between different voices, and that really adds to your catalog of voices that you can do and have in your toolbox.
Interesting. So back to Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor. Obviously, it's the same character, and they're not. I mean, they're not both trying to sound alike, obviously. But if what is the difference in your own head as you're changing from Alec Guinness to Ewan McGregor? What are you changing as you sort of
Right.
or hear?
Well, I think Alec Guinness is Obi-Wan. What I hear is it kind of has a little bit more of that sort of old man sort of whistle to it. So it's kind of, it's that sound. So, it's come here, my little friend, don't be worried. And it's a little bit drawn out. But then if you take that away and just make it, and then I hear that and I go, okay, so come here, my little friend, don't be worried. If I take that out, come here, my little friend, don't be worried. And then if you just take out a little bit of the growl and make it a little younger, you have, come here, my little friend, don't be worried. And then you just get younger and younger, and it's just playing with those different characteristics.
Nice. Okay. So if you're in your head, what do you do to sound older than you are, and what do you do to sound younger than you
Right.
are?
I think the easiest tool for that, the starting place, is usually pitch. And then, so I would for me, it's start with the pitch of it, play with the pitch. So you can take any voice, take my voice, and then if you want to lower the pitch a little bit and make it a little bit deeper, and then it sounds a little bit more mature. But then if I take it and add a little bit of gravel to it and kind of make it sound a little bit more older. So I think if for age, when you're messing with age and stuff, there's all kinds of things you can play with. But for me, the base is to start with pitch and then to add in the things that, you hear. The key is just to listen to the people around you, all characters are for the most part, are based on people that we see. And so you hear different things that you might hear an older person do. They might have a little bit more of that whistle, like I said, or they'll speak slower and deeper and a little bit more gravel to their voice. So for me, the base to start for age is pitch, and then after that to mess with the texture, I would say.
Okay. So the going down is going to make you sound older. Going up is going to make you sound younger.
Right.
That's how you do it.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, in general. The the it's from the play As You Like It by Shakespeare. Jacques has a like a little monologue called The Seven Ages of Man, and that I think I kind of use that as a voice reference because it really talks about it being a high voice and then it goes down deep and then it comes back up at the end.
Yeah.
And he said like it's uh, basically I think last scene of all. Well, no. I think the sixth one. It says the sixth age slips into the lean and slippered pantaloon, whatever. Spectacles on nose, pouch on side, and then it says his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes,
Mm,
and his sound. And it's kind of like, yeah, that is how it is. So
it is, yeah.
and then you start adding like Mr. Herbert little whistles and whatnot to it, and yeah. Anyway, that's really cool.
That's brilliant.
I always like to hear other actors' processes and stuff like that. So when you're doing a character, um, are you sort of mechanical? Like that the British are super mechanical. Or a lot of my British friends are very
Hmm.
mechanical in it. It's like, oh, I don't feel a thing. I'm making you feel a thing.
Right.
But it's like a different style of acting. And then other people, it's like I'm playing this sad character. I'm going to like make myself
Right.
legitimately sad. How do you approach a character?
So for me, in terms of speaking of, if you want to call it method acting, I actually am currently and have taken a method acting course. And kind of what I have learned is, people hear, about method acting and they go, oh, Heath Ledger's or the, whatever. And they think of it as becoming a character. But really, there's only two types of acting. There's convincing acting and unconvincing acting,
Yeah.
It's bad acting when you can tell someone's acting. So for me, there's some characters where you may not even have to dive as deep, and like, I'm going to go shut myself in a closet and, do whatever. Because there's parts that you can relate to, and those are the parts that you use and you just highlight them. There's parts in all of us that we can identify with certain characters. I think that's why it's so attractive to so many people. When they find a cartoon character or a movie character that they're really, they sometimes they will idolize. But there can be more complex characters, like for me and you, I'm sure we can't go, if we get the role for playing, a serial killer, I don't think there's this inner part of us where we're just going to tap into that and go, I can relate to that,
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're going to have to do some research on some things. But I think for the most part, the characters that we'll get that aren't maybe too crazy out there, we can relate to with ourselves. And the actual work is just reading the script, and just over and over and over and understanding who the character is within the context of the story and what the writer meant for this character.
Yeah. Okay. The well, to the point about doing a character that, like, obviously you would know nothing about, I hope. Like, I think one of that is what makes a great villain.
Mm,
The most convincing villains have things about them that are adorable.
mm.
You know what I mean?
They almost attract you in a way that you're like, why am I?
Right. Like, whoa. It makes you feel like it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable that,
Hmm.
oh, he's so good with dogs. He loves his dog and the dog loves him back. And
Right.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he cares for animals, let's say. Might be might be, like I said, awful person. Doesn't
Right.
love people, but he loves animals. And that's kind of your sort of like, well, that's a good trait. Anyway, I think great villains. I mean, anybody, but a great
Right.
villain is not all bad, so to speak. There's
There's a
some
likable aspect to
there's
them that
something
you,
likable
yep.
about him or her, or maybe multiple things. Um, one of one of the great characters that I really like was who was it? It was it Skyfall? It was one of the James Bond movies, and it was the guy with like a white head, white bowl cut. Remember that? It was like a bowl cut. It was like a bleach blonde. And
Yes. Oh, I don't have the name either, but I know what you're talking
you know what I'm
about.
talking about?
Yeah.
He plays in No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
Um, Javier
Is it?
Bardem.
Yeah. Harvey R. Bardem.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, amazing. And
Hmm.
then if you see him in Lyle Lyle Crocodile singing and dancing, it's like, man, this guy's good because he
Hmm.
is scaring the fire out of me right here. And then he's just, he's like singing and being goofy. He's amazing.
Oh yeah.
But
And then in Pirates of the Caribbean too.
was he in that?
He was I think it was their most recent one. He
Okay,
was terrifying in that. It was excellent.
okay, wow. The thing that made him, I think, so disconcerting in James Bond as a Bond villain was he could go from like he would say something that was legitimately funny, and it was like, and then by the time you're done laughing, he has crescendoed into like a scream, and you're very scared.
Yeah. Like
He,
The Joker,
yeah,
who I
yeah,
think is one of the most attractive villains of all time. Mark Hamill's Joker. He's funny,
right,
and then he laughs, and then it's kind of that dorky laugh in the beginning, and then he transitions into a maniac, and you're like, this guy's crazy.
right. The or who's the Andrew Scott in Sherlock as Moriarty.
Mm,
If you've seen that, he's a great villain. Same way, he's like charming, and then you're like, wait a second, this guy's a real cutthroat.
hmm
Anyway, I think that's interesting. And so, like in my case, if I'm doing a character that is a bad guy, and I don't know what that's like to do that.
Right.
That I'll sort of almost lean into the adorable, charming things. and that way, I mean, even if you're smiling the whole time, if it's something awful and yet you're acting nice, that contrast I think is really
Oh yeah.
disconcerting to the viewer in a good way, as far as an entertaining. Like, man, this guy's a real rascal, as opposed to just right out of the gate you're screaming and being awful in every single thing.
Right.
No, that's not really believable.
Right.
Um, yeah.
And I think that says the same. I think the same goes for heroes as well. You know, there's all like I think there's likable and dislikable aspects to heroes and villains. I think just the only difference is the likable aspects are, you know, there's more of those for the heroes than there are the villains, you know. So like if you want to take it superhero wise, you know, uh Tony Stark, Iron Man, you know, one of his likable features, you know, he's obviously Iron Man. He's funny, he's witty, and then sort of his arrogance can maybe be his downfall, you know, the dislikable feature, you
Hmm.
know. So I think it goes both ways. It just depends on which end of the scale is weighed more, you know.
Right. Because a good hero without any flaws, it just doesn't make a good hero. Because
It's not relatable.
there's only one fellow that was ever those things, and he's God. So everybody else is just pretending. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think a great hero needs that. Oh, he's kind of whiny when he get like like Elijah in the Bible.
Hmm.
He did these amazing. God used him to do amazing miracles on Mount Carmel, and then within a few sentences, he's whining out in the desert. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, whining before and whining after. Anyway,
It's the middle where you really like him.
right, right. But he's a great hero of the faith and the Bible.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, all
Absolutely, yeah.
anyway, that's super cool. I just like hearing how people approach um, stuff, because I'm more I have to feel it.
Hmm.
I'm not very mechanical. Part of that is I just haven't had the training probably, but um, so I think it would take less training to like, oh, I could, oh, feel sad. I feel sad.
Right? Yeah. Think about your childhood dog. You know, that guy. That'll take you there real quick.
Yeah, I'll get there real quick. Um, so two impressions.
Yes.
Can you let's talk impressions. I want to
Let's do it.
just whatever you're willing to do. 'Cause you're
I'm
very
willing to do anything. I'm a
off the
dance
cuff.
monkey.
Okay, nice. Dance monkey dance. The
Yes.
uh so yeah, I don't know how you want to do this, but I would say um let's hear some impressions.
All right. So here's this you're gonna edit this, right?
I'll edit it. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the question.
Okay.
I can do political impressions,
Mm-hmm.
but the question is if I can do them without obviously, you know, leaning one way or the other. So, but the question is that something you want on here or
I would say let's definitely do that,
okay.
but also like let's say
Cartoon characters, movie
if
characters.
if you're doing an Obama character or Kamala Harris, it ought to be. I mean, to me, the goal would be um, if there's a voter listening in, they would love it. Like
Right.
whoever likes them politically would like it, as opposed to like, oh, he's being cruel to my guy, and
Yes.
support. Okay. It's sort of like, you know, I don't know,
Right.
but talking about something that's not political, maybe. So it's like, Obama ordering ice cream, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me get a frosty. I'll have you a frosty right out. It's going to be the greatest frosty you've ever had. You're really going to love this frosty. Thank you, Donald. I'll take that frosty there. Well, Michelle, you can get her on a frosty. Just have to. I'll give you a second one for free. That's all right. You can have your frosty. Donald, what are you doing giving out frosties when I'm trying to make America more healthy? That's a real problem. Look, I told you not to touch the liquid gold. Don't touch the liquid gold. You can touch everyone, but don't touch the liquid gold and don't touch McDonald's. Leave it alone. I love my Big Mac. Everybody loves Big Macs. That's what they're saying, Jake. 4 years ago, we had a lot of Big Macs, and now we have a lot of Big Macs again, too. But don't touch the Big Mac. We love the Big Mac. That's what they're saying.
that's great. That's so funny. I like listening to impressions Um, and one of the reasons is like sometimes I pick up more from someone who's being observant of their
Mm.
than sayings than I do from actually listening to them. Like you just said, that's what they're saying several times, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, he does say that,
Yes, you can have a terrible impression of someone, but
right?
if you just get their mannerisms down, so it doesn't even have to be that great, but if you just like you said, you highlight the things that he says, you know, that's what they're saying. It's probably the greatest. You're not going to see one like this. It's this big, beautiful, wonderful thing. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That's what they're saying. And it's probably going to happen again. We don't know. It may happen again, but that's what they're saying. So I happen to like it a lot, and I think everybody else here likes it a lot. You take a look in the back. They probably don't like it, but I think everybody else, for the most part, probably likes it.
That's great. Okay, Tommy Lee Jones. Do you do him?
Tommy Lee Jones.
And if
Mm-mm.
not, fine.
You
Uh,
can just throw them out there, and I'll give you a yes or a no.
um, Owen Wilson. I enjoy. I know you do Owen
You
Wilson.
know, I just love the fact that you even invited me on here, and it's just like, wow, it's just great to even be here. I could be out being a little miniature cowboy, at a museum, or I could be a red car, it could be either of them, but either way, I'm here with you, and it's just wow, that's really all there even is to say about it.
Okay.
Ancient torture devices, that's what we talked about last time.
Put their little head right there,
You just
and
put their little head right there, and then whammy, there you go.
he's referencing a. We're in Lamplighter Studios, and all around they have like old book presses and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Mitch did a uh, ancient torture devices episode for a little TikTok, and he was Owen Wilson, and he was like, you put the little head right there, and you twist it down. Anyway, it was a book press. It was fun. So,
Oh,
um, let's see. Who's a favorite to do? Who's somebody like you really like doing them?
you want me to just rattle off some, and then you can, if you want to hit the brakes on someone, we can stop
Yeah,
there for a minute.
yeah.
So I had this argument yesterday. We've had a lot of action movies in the '80s. We had a lot, and more recent times as well. And so I was talking to Jason Statham and to Sylvester Stallone and Dwayne Johnson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, trying to figure out who was the best action star. Um, and they had an argument about it, but I'll let them tell you about it themselves.
You know, I think these Americans are here trying to take claim and act like they've taken the role of being probably one of the greatest action movie stars, but I think most certainly, without a doubt, you can bet your bald head that I am most certainly the greatest action star of all time.
Look, you're not even as original as me, but if you want to act like that you're the best or something, you're really not, probably. It's probably between me and Sly.
You could ask him over there, but there's probably not that many people that would disagree that I'm probably the greatest action star too. So it's probably Sly or me. Arnold or Sly. It's probably one of them too.
It doesn't matter what you think. I'm probably the best action star of modern times.
That's great. Oh, sorry. Where do we go?
We're all good. We're here.
I'm trying to put you on the big screen there. There we go. That's what I want. That's so good. Oh, that's good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, those are good, man. Those are good. And I mean, I know that you know this, but if May was your first time, I've been in tons of stuff, right?
Right.
Not like Pixar stuff, obviously, but a lot of audio dramas, a lot of commercials, whatever. You've got so many characters that you can use those for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll do Sly and just put some little feature where the ear is not going to say that's Sly Stallone, so it doesn't, because that can be distracting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Did they get Stallone for this? Like
Right.
it would almost distract the listener. Whereas if you just put one thing in there, that just becomes a phenomenal character, and they put their own face to it or whatever.
Right.
And that can just be a producer's dream. It's like, man, I'll just get this guy and I'll
Yeah.
save a lot of money.
Yeah.
and then the characters are phenomenal.
Which they do. There's a whole genre of voiceover work for that, dubbing,
Yeah.
where they'll have a movie trailer come out and they'll need them to say this line or change it a little bit. And, instead of paying a bajillion dollars, to get the actual guy to come back, and do it, then they can just get a voice match for the trailer to do a couple lines and bring them in,
Yep. Exactly. That's fantastic. The what do you think the most common impression attempts are? Schwarzenegger's one of them, I think.
I think, okay, so that's actually a great question. So, I think with right now with things, I think you see a lot of the political stuff, um, and then outside of the political realm, I think you see a lot of, I think one that I see a lot, um, is definitely Christopher Walken. You see a lot of people trying to do him, and there's a lot of people that get really close, and they'll just nail it down, but they'll kind of change his inflections a little bit because that's what he's doing most of the time. There's no punctuation with his sentences when he's speaking. You can't follow it very well. So Christopher Walken's one of them. Let's see. I think you see a lot of people doing Ryan Reynolds now too. You know,
It's your favorite superhero in spandex, or also your favorite owner of Mint Mobile, which you can just get for now for $15 a month, an unlimited plan.
you see a lot of people doing him. Let's see. So have those two. I see a lot of. I don't do one, but I see a lot of people doing like Vin Diesel. They'll do. I think the highlighted impressions that you see a lot of now are mainly, for me personally, are they're either cartoon characters, political figures, or action movie stars. I think those are really the three that I see the most. And personally, I delve more into the movie character side of things,
Okay.
with cartoons and stuff. But also, I think one of the first impressions dives that I really went in on because I loved it so much was Star Wars, and then Lord of the Rings, mainly though, because Lord of the Rings is my jam. So I think just from watching it so much, and hearing the lines, I would just try and follow that and just watch it, and just because I loved it so much. But Lord of the Rings was definitely the one where I really made my first, if you want to call it, journey into trying to nail impressions because of how much I loved it. You got to love it because you either, your heart has to really be in it if you want that. If you want to nail an impression down or something, you have to be all about it, because there's so many things that you got to pick up on. So if your goal is to do, you know, impressions, I would say just start off with your favorite stuff. Find what you identify with the most or what your favorite show or movie is, and that's what you go after and you work on.
Okay. What about for let's say a kid is listening and
Mhm.
they think this is so cool, voice acting is so cool, they love it. What advice do you have for someone who hasn't made any steps towards voice acting yet, but like I just want to do that. I want to do what Mitch is doing.
Right.
What would you tell him?
Well, the first thing I would say if to a kid that's wanting to do this is, first of all, don't let anyone tell you can't do it, because if I can do it and if you can do it, I think anybody can do it. There are plenty of people out there looking for your look and your voice. So, find out what your crayons are in your box, so to speak. Find out what makes you you. I guess if you want like an actual step, I'd say the first step is do theater at your school if your school offers that, or your local theater. I would say get on stage. That has been the greatest practice for me, that I didn't know would be, as a kid doing it. I didn't know it was gonna be so helpful, but theater really, I mean, on-screen actors, voice actors, I think everybody will tell you, for the most part, the people that have done it would credit, for the most part, from what I've heard, credit getting on stage. So that would just be the easiest first step. I'd say if you want somewhere to start, get on stage, whether it's at your local theater or at your school or whatever. Just find your place, find your community, and then you're going to grow with everyone there. And it's if you enjoy it, then you'll find out then, if it's for you or not.
That's cool. I would say that goes for anybody.
Mhm.
because I did not do. I don't know if I've ever told you this. My first acting role was uh, the donkey that Mary rode to Bethlehem upon. In
I
the
did not know this. This is exciting.
Christmas play, right? So that was my first acting role, right?
Right.
Joseph trudged along beside. Um, old girl sat on me side saddle. I wore a brown or a gray, I should say, sweatsuit as her, burro, and yeah, just walked across the stage. Non-speaking role, of course. That was the extent of my acting until I was like 35, and decided, you know what, I want to be a voice actor. So
Mhm.
I don't think you're ever too old to sort of think that.
No, yeah.
You're never too young and you're never too old. Like if you want
Right.
to do it, but then too, that what you just said right there, I got into like I sort of credit um, kind of getting my feet wet with community theater. I just went and
Mhm.
started auditioning and gotten some stuff and just the practice reps you're gonna get at
Mm.
with projection with, hey, say that again, but you're not mad, you're just kind of frustrated, that sort of thing,
Right.
where you're okay, how do I do that, and you just get so many practice reps doing that.
Mhm.
So good for you.
Oh
So
yeah.
I
And
think
even watching TV as well too. That's another thing as well. If you're not on stage, or you have extra time watching cartoons, listening to what's out there now, the kind of shows they're making, and paying attention to it. It's kind of like the best homework ever. You get to watch your favorite cartoon, but watching television and cartoons and just seeing and hearing and listening to that and seeing, what they're actually making. That's extremely helpful, and it has been for me as well.
right, that's good. um oh, I know what I was gonna mention, because you mentioned the Three Stooges. Do you do the Three Stooges? Can you do any of them?
I do not, but my dad does an excellent curly.
Really?
Yeah. My dad has he kind of has his own impressions too. I wouldn't say that it's entire that's I wouldn't uh say he has delved into it like I have, but yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the fun and the playfulness side and aspect of that has definitely come from my dad as well. And I think also I was thinking about this the other day. I think one of the going back to what you're saying about advice for people who want to do this or who may want to, maybe think about getting into acting in general, whether it's on screen, off camera, print or voiceover or stage, is I think for me the biggest blessing um, was starting younger, not because of opportunity being missed out, but because you keep that part of you as a child, of not really caring and not worried about the judgment of other people or performing. And that is one of the biggest blessings. So I guess I would say if you're thinking about it to anyone, start as soon as you can. There's no, time crunch on you or rush, but it's just the earlier you can start and the less worried you are about what everyone else is thinking. I think that's the most freeing experience you can have as an actor.
That's interesting. I love that. The In my case, like that describes me. And again, everything, like I didn't even um well, I guess maybe I sort of thought about it around, or it was probably a little older than you, but
Hmm.
I saw um a stage production just as a viewer, and
Right.
that's really interesting. That would be fun. Even though I'm kind of what you might say like a functioning introvert. Like I can go out and function fine,
Hmm.
but crowds and small talk sort of tire me out. I'd
Right.
rather be in like a small group and have a good conversation about, maybe more stuff in depth than sort of glad handing 50 people, hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, like that wears me.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate to you there.
Y'all staying busy,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Um, the how's your mom and them, that sort of thing. Um, but I can remember thinking and being shocked by that realization that
Hmm.
like what you just mentioned, it would be fun to sort of be someone else. And if there is any slings and arrows that come your way, it's like, well, it wasn't me, it's this other guy.
Yeah.
It's this character. If you didn't like him, you could still like me.
Yeah.
uh, I
I'm
don't
great. Just ask him, you know?
right. Um, so that's interesting that you mentioned that, because that was even as an older, someone that got into it much later in life, that was exactly my thought process.
Hmm.
I could be someone else, and I don't. That's not how I think of it now. Like I sort of grew, but into my roles, and now I kind of enjoy of it.
Right.
But when I first started, the first time, it sort of shocked me that I thought, wait, I'm kind of introverted. I don't like crowds. Why would I want to get in front of crowds and
Right.
pretend? I don't know, but I just do. And
Yeah.
that was sort of a shocking realization to me that I wanted to do that. And yeah, so that's just interesting. I always enjoy hearing how people get into voice acting, what influences they have, that kind of thing.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah. So your parents, are they artistic? Do they like arts? The arts and
Yeah, for sure. I'd say in terms of if you want to use, say artistic, I would say my dad's side of the family is really, really gifted musically. They all play instruments, My grandfather plays literally anything. He plays clarinet,
hmm,
any kind of saxophone, keyboard. I got violin playing cousins, guitar playing cousins, piano playing cousins that are doing it, some of them on a professional level. I have my uncle, professional piano player, jazz pianist, and there's a real huge love for music on that side of the family. Um, and I've dabbled in that, and I can play some instruments decently. But I think that was when I found my avenue, through art, because that was everyone's avenue on that for them was music and instruments, and I kept looking for an instrument to kind of click with me. Then really the instrument that clicked with me was the one that I have in here,
right.
and being able to act. And I was like, this is, the way that I see them light up when they're, listening to music or playing music is how I feel whenever I'm acting. Um, I think we're all artists, and I think we all just have to find out what our paintbrush is. Um, for some of us, it can be, the tools that we put in our hands, or others, the tools that we have inside of us. Um, so on my dad's side of the family, all very musically gifted. But there's just a real appreciation for art and the arts, with my mother and my father, and they're both incredibly supportive. And for that, I'm very grateful. So that has definitely made all this, so much more, not only pleasurable, but, I don't want to use the word easy, but in a way it does, to have that moral support and to, surrounding you from your loved ones that are really, that not only believe in you, but love what you're trying to do. So that is a huge encouragement and blessing. Definitely.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's wonderful. Um, I was the same way, but I have seen people that have people in their life that is like, oh, that's it's
Hmm.
When are you gonna get a real job? When I was your age, I was hauling. I had to walk to work 25 miles,
exactly.
and you're on that tic tac and whatever else you're doing.
Listening to that hippity hop music.
Yeah. Hippity hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I want to hear. No, we have not trotted this voice out yet.
All right.
But and I'm trying to think. I didn't send you the poem, classic poem, A Poetry
Yes.
by William Blake, and I just want the first words of this to shock you with the voice of Ezme from. I would like Ezme to read this poem.
All
Because
right.
when it was shocking to me to see Ezme speak this poem, and this is a classic poem by William Blake. And William Blake he had a poem called "The Lamb," which was one of my first poems that I ever was introduced to, And so I credit Mr. Blake with kind of my love of classic literature, or starting me down the journey anyway. And so if you've ever seen The Emperor's New Groove, you know who this is. And if you haven't, this is an old, wrinkly old ancient lady that is very ambitious and energetic about usurping the throne. So either way,
And also an excellent singer as well, might I add.
exactly. I forgot about that. Okay, so I'm going to send you this link. What do you have as far as? Can you pull up a link?
I actually just Googled it and pulled it up in a tab, so I'm on
Okay.
it right now. Can you still
That's
see
perfect.
me?
Yeah, A Poison Tree by
All right.
William Blake. And so this will be read by Ezme as she plots to usurp the throne from Cusco. Whoop, 1 second. There we go.
All right.
Get over here. I'm reading a poem now.
I'll be there in 1 second, Ezme.
Anyways, as I was saying, a poison tree. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath. My wrath did in. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe, Cusco, outstretched beneath the tree.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, it's a blast. Thank you.
Oh, you gotta, and I'll link it in the show notes, but your TikTok and stuff. But you gotta you gotta read some poems. You just gotta use those voices, man.
Right.
You're so good. You're so talented.
Oh,
And
thank you.
people
Appreciate
love
that.
You know, like they love impressions. I do.
Yeah.
Everybody else does too. And,
Yeah. Do you have any other poems you would like me to read as someone?
I'm trying to think. Because like that's so perfect. Like Eartha, Kitt, and the Poison Tree. That's just the perfect thing. What? Let's do a Shakespeare sonnet.
Okay.
Okay. What would be a good thing for a Shakespeare sonnet? A good voice, you think?
Let's see.
You do Joe Pesci, you know, like it'd be
Yeah.
something like so
Yeah.
far removed.
Like Bugs Bunny?
There we go. Bugs Bunny. Yeah.
You want to do Bugs Bunny?
Bugs Bunny. Let's do how about 100 sonnet 116 by William Shakespeare.
Can you put this one up if you don't care?
What's that now?
Can you put this one up to where I can see it? It says down here present.
Well, I don't know if I can do that.
Let me see. So sonnet 116 Shakespeare. Okay. Okay, I got it. All right.
I mean, I might be able to. Let's see. If I were to, no. Here. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I'm not very
I got it pulled up right here.
Okay.
All right.
Me, what's up, Doc? Let me not do the marriage. Oh, wait, we didn't even say the title. We gotta go back and say the title. All right. Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds by William Shakespeare. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Admit impotence, love is not love, which alters when its alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every winged bark, whose worth's unknown. Although his height be taken, love's not times to fool. Though rosy lips and cheeks within his bleeding sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh,
Uh,
it's fun.
oh, that's fantastic. That was good. Okay, so now I'm thinking Shakespeare.
Yeah, this
What
is great. We can do a
what
couple more of
is
these.
what is a so Macbeth, obviously,
Hmm.
he assassinates his boss to take his job. He's a real
Oh, I see.
right,
I
right.
think I see
So
what you're.
so what would be a good voice? And I'll give you a quote.
Is there two characters to play in that, like back and forth? Is
I mean,
the
there's
way it's written? Is there a way to read it to where there's
well, I think it would be funny to do like obviously this is like a desperate criminal, right?
right?
He's if you were to cast it, Benedict Cumberbatch would be a great Macbeth. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he would play it and he'd be terrifying. But to do a whatever, an equivalent of something like a Bugs Bunny that I should be laughing right now, but here we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like something that is not threatening and yet the words coming out are very threatening.
like King Jullian from Madagascar.
Yes.
Okay, that's fun.
Okay.
So what do we type in? What do I need to type in here?
Let's see. I can't. Well, it's not the words that are so desperate in this one, but it's the man is desperate. He's a desperate man.
Hmm.
It is called the Tomorrow monologue. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. In that's from Macbeth, and there's a little. I can pull it up if I need to. Let's see.
Tomorrow. Let's see. Does this sound right? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Speech. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I said it like 3 times. It was really funny. Anyways, by William Shakespeare from Macbeth, spoken by Macbeth. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty face from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brave candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Bravo. That's ridiculous. That's amazing. That's
Oh.
so funny.
That does sound something dramatic, like he would say.
Yeah. In the play, he just heard his wife die. Like the guy comes in and is like, "Hey, Lady Macbeth is dead," and then he's like, he says this. She
Mhm.
died hereafter tomorrow, and then sort of the hopelessness of that. Anyway, that's brilliant.
This
Yeah,
is great.
This is great. This is like a great exercise. If you're a budding voice actor, this is what you need to be doing. You need to
Yeah.
be doing, I think, classic literature, and then and it doesn't have to be a funny voice. It could be a sincere voice, or you could say,
Right.
I'm going to
Or
say
even practicing
this.
accents,
Right, you're practicing accents. So this is great repetition. All right, so let's do one more, and then I'll let
All
you
right.
go. I've had so much fun. This is great.
Oh, this is excellent.
And we'll, hopefully do it again sometime soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you know the thing that I was talking about earlier? It's from the play As You Like It, The Seven Ages of Man,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts with what is it? All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. So, like, yeah, all the world's a stage is the sort of the first line, and it goes through, like we were talking about earlier, the seven age
Mm-hmm.
baby, and then like a teenager, and then a college boy, whatever.
Right. I got it right here. Perfect.
Okay, so
All right, let's
what
see.
does that look like to you?
Let me see real quick.
And it doesn't have to be funny. I mean, it could be sincere. It could be Alec Guinness, teaching Luke
Mm-hmm.
about the Force. Um, so yeah, whatever you're thinking.
All right. Let's see here. I'm thinking. Luckily, this can be edited. This pause. Let's see. I think we're gonna have to go more serious. I think this is more of a Gandalf the Grey. What do you think, Gandalf
Okay,
the
yeah,
Grey?
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that.
I think there is.
Okay.
So, to all the viewers of the Cultured Bumpkin podcast, and to Mr. Phillips himself, let me bestow upon you the knowledge of the 7 Ages of Man, written by William Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, my dear Frodo Baggins, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy, with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and a bearded like pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouths, and then the justice in fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe, and a beard of a formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice, turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound, much like mine. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
That's great.
Thank you.
Good. I love that shrieking sibilant that you made sound so effortless. Like it wasn't, you weren't, it didn't sound like you were trying to, it would just sort of come out. And that's such a good, like hallmark of Ian McKellen's delivery.
Mm-hmm.
That little whistle.
Right.
And, yeah, that's so good. So good. Man, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And one favor, and I'm going to take this and put it onto the front. But could you say
Yeah.
something like as Bugs Bunny, like, "What's up, Doc? You're listening to the Cultured Bumpkin.
Yeah,
Stay tuned."
of
I don't
course.
know, something funny, but it would be like a little cold open before it goes into the music. That's usually not there. They'll be like, "Wait, what is this?"
Yeah. Okay. Let's. So you want something more goofy, funny for it?
Yeah, I think that would be good. In like a Bugs Bunny, or something like that, Elmer Fudd,
Yeah.
where it's like, welcome to the Cultured Bumpkin, whatever.
All right. Let's. All right. Yeah. Okay. Here you go.
Yeah. What's up, Doc? You're listening to the Cultured Bumpkin podcast.
Oh, be quiet, rabbit. Ugh, hates rabbits. On with the show.
That's so good. Oh, that's fun. Well, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
me, and let's talk again soon. Tell people where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Mitch North VO, MITCHNORTHVO. And then there I have a link tree link in the top of my bio. It'll take you to everything else. I haven't uploaded on YouTube yet, but I'm about to. And then right now I'm just working on uploading impressions on social media right now for everyone to enjoy. So if you want to find me, you can find me there on Instagram, and that'll take you to everything else. And then if you want to find me online or reach out to me, you can reach out to me at mitchnorthvo.com.
Perfect. Well, man, that's awesome. Check the links in the bio and the show notes for his ways to connect with Mitch. And thank you.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate you.
All right, so I will stop the recording. Boom.